Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Storm over Dien. This is a game designed by Nick Richardson and Brian Yaus and published by Multiman Publishing. This is another in the popular Storm Over series. There was Arnhem, Stalingrad, and now we have Dien. One thing you got to keep in mind with these area movement games, you're going to have card play in it, and that's going to change the historicity of the game. If you want something that sticks very much along the lines of the history, then you want to check out Legion's Dien, The Final Gamble, versus something like this. If you want to play a fun game, then you're going to want to check out the Storm Over games. That's what I like about having those games as an option. You have the games that are really steeped in history, then you have the games that give you the history, but can also kind of change things up a little bit and give you historical results. But the important thing is you get a fun and engaging game. And that's what I'm hoping to have here with Storm Over Dien. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. In the spring of 1954, General Zapp shocked the world by doing what had previously been considered impossible, defeating a Western occupying force. Storm over Dien simulates the climatic moment when the isolated French forces, including French legionnaires and elite paratrooper units, crumbled under the unrelenting pressure of the Chinese-backed Viet Minh forces. Using the area move system redefined in Storm over Stalingrad, the game features the use of cards to augment gameplay, adding to the tension experienced by both sides. The rules are similar in length to those seen in Storm over Stalingrad and are of the same level of complexity, with additions made for the situations encountered in this battle. Additional rules added to the game include sapping, assaulting, and the French supply situation. In addition to these new rules, new cards have been created in order to represent events encountered during the battle. The game focuses on the attacks on the strong points of Gabrielle, Anne-Marie, Beatrice, Eliane, Claudine, Huguette, and Dominique from mid-March to early May of 1954. The game is 8 turns long and can easily be played in less than 3 hours by experienced players. And for the components, we get one 22 by 34 inch map, 1.5 counter sheets, full color rulebook, card deck, and 4 6-sided dice. The solitaire suitability and the complexity level are both rated as low. And here's an example of the cards, and then we have the map and the counters up at the top. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. Pretty tight fit box. We got our listing of contents and a way to contact MMP for support, 4 dice, deck of cards, the rule book, counter sheets, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And we'll take a look at the map that comes with the game. It is a beautifully done map, very easy to read. Standard area control map where you're going to have all your areas broken down, easy to read. They're also going to be numbered. And then you're going to see who's in control of them at the start. We have the Viet Minh forces on the outside, and then we have the French on the inside in all of the locations from the fortress at Dien. At the top, we have the steps for French supply and Viet Minh replacements. We have the replacement box for the Viet Minh forces, the turn track, and below that we have tracks for tracking the cards for both Viet Minh and the French player. And we'll take a look at a couple of examples of the cards that come with the game. The top are the French and the bottom are the Viet Minh. Command coordination, it says re-roll any French attack die roll and keep the new result. Relief force from Isabel. As your impulse, roll a d6 and consult the table below. Place the appropriate units in area 38 on their fresh side. The units will have an asterisk as their reinforcement turn. Die roll 1 through 3, you get 2 infantry units, 4 through 5, 1 armored unit, and 6, 1 armored and 1 infantry unit. Then it says at the bottom the card is removed from play after it has been played. This card may not be played after turn 4. So definitely depends on when you get that card as to whether you can or cannot use it. Then we have the Viet Minh card, Poor Weather. It says negate a French fighter bomber or a B-26 card, so this is a response card when you are faced with either a fighter bomber or a B-26. Then we have the Katyusha rockets, firepower of 12. For your impulse, perform an attack of 12 firepower in an area adjacent to one you control. The firepower increases to 13 if there are 7 or more French units in the area. And at the bottom it says this card is removed from play after it has been played. And then you can tell why, because that's a pretty powerful card to play. and it's definitely one you want to hold on to and use at the right time. Once you've made some headway and gained 1 or 2 areas, you might want to punch a hole through and gain another one. This is the way to do it. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. On the first half sheet, these are going to be administrative counters. We got control markers at the top, out of supply markers, and then trench markers below that. On the next sheet, we have our French forces on the left and the Viet Minh forces on the remainder of the counter sheet. Next, we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 12-page full-color rulebook. Inside of the front cover, we have the introduction, the components, the units, the counters and how to read your counters, the map, the areas, charts and boxes, and then your tactical cards, as well as your map key, so it explains to you how to read all of the sections of the map. Then we get into the setup, sequence of play, and then your tactical cards, receiving them, playing them, discarding them, and replenishing them. Then the impulses are explained to you. All of your actions, your card actions, your movement, have an illustrated example of movement at the bottom. Then we have fire from a unit, fire from a tactical card, sequence of resolving your fire. We also have fire and damage, illustrated example over here, determining your defense points, determining damage points, and then applying your damage points. Then we have retreats, and we have sap when you want to send in your sappers, trench level, assault, French supply, which is key for the French in this battle, replacements and reinforcements, control of areas, victory conditions, and there is a single optional rule up there. Then we have the French counter abbreviations. Then we're at the credits at the bottom of page 9. So not a lot of rules, pretty simple, straightforward rule set. Then we have an illustrated example of an assault on the last 2 pages. And then we have the counter manifest at the back of the rulebook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Storm Over Dien Bien Phu. This is a game designed by Nick Richardson and Brian Yaus and published by Multiman Publishing. These Storm Over games are light area impulse games that you can get on the table and knock out a historical situation in a few hours and have a lot of fun. Like we saw, only 8-9 pages of rules. Not going to be difficult to understand this or get it on the table and get to playing. If you want historicity, go with the Final Gamble, Dien Bien Phu, the Final Gamble from Legion War Games. That's going to be much more accurate to the history of the situation. If you want a feeling of what the situation was, the general feeling, and some of the action which is represented in the cards of the situation in a fun game, this is what you want right here. You can do both. Have something like this for when you just want to knock out a game in a couple hours and still feel like it's Dien Bien Phu, and when you want to get into the deeper, more accurate historically game, then you go with the Final Gamble. Great to have both. It's always good to have a balance in games, because remember, we play these games for fun as well as the historicity. And I think games like this definitely have a place in everybody's war game shelf, because not everything has to be simulation or close thereof. You can just have fun sometimes, and that's what these games really find their place. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.